Welcome to Stetson Law Live, an online interactive informational event webcasting live from the virtual studio at Stetson University College of Law. Your host today, Director of Student Life, Tammy Bryant. Tammy's guests are Student Ambassadors Chelsea Johnson and Kevin Lonzo. Our topic today, student life at Stetson Law.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tammy Bryant and I'm the Director for Student Life here at Stetson College of Law. I'm joined this afternoon with Kevin Lonzo and Chelsea Johnson, and today we're going to give you a little bit of a picture into what a typical Stetson Law student life experience is like. Today we're going to first start off by kind of introducing ourselves a little bit further. So Kevin, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, your undergraduate institution, and some of the things that you're involved in here at the College of Law.
My name's Kevin Lonzo. I am originally from Indiana and moved down to Florida about 5 years ago. Started working in the medical sales industry and decided that I wanted to pursue a law degree. So I started looking around for campuses and decided that Stetson was the perfect choice for me. So that's where I came from and how I got here. And since I've been on campus, been involved in all sorts of different things, including Stetson Law Review, the Stetson Ambassadors, and all the intramural programs that Stetson has to offer.
Thanks, Kevin. How about Chelsea?
My name is Chelsea Johnson. I'm going to be a 3L this year at Stetson. I went to undergrad at James Madison University in Virginia, and I grew up in Long Island, New York. Stetson was kind of always my dream because I want to be a trial attorney, and obviously advocacy at Stetson is amazing. So that was my first choice, and since I've been here, I never want to leave Florida. And I absolutely love all the organizations. I got involved in the Student Bar Association. I'm on one of the advocacy boards here at Stetson, as well as Student Ambassadors. I work in student life, among many other things.
Thanks to both of you. Well, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about my experience related to Stetson as well. I am a 2006 graduate of the College of Law, and while I was here, I was also involved in the Student Bar Association, which is our student government here at the College of Law, and I served as the vice president and also as the president while I was here. And I was involved in quite a few different student organizations and got involved with on-campus employment and different things around campus. When I left Stetson, I actually practiced at the state attorney's office for a couple years and did specifically child welfare prosecution, where parents have neglected, abused, or abandoned their children. And after a couple years of doing that, I had the opportunity to come back and work in the Office of Student Life, and I've been here ever since. And really the reason why I came back was because I just had such a great experience and loved what Stetson was doing in terms of enriching their students and providing really a holistic environment to support them through their law school experience, and I just wanted to be a part of paying that forward. So I think kind of just to get us started, I thought that maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of the student organizations that you all are involved in on campus.
Great.
I'll start by talking about one of my favorite ones is the Stetson Ambassadors. That's something I've been involved with since my second year on campus. I'm a part-time student, so I'm now going into my fourth year on campus and finishing up my degree this December. And I have been involved with it coming in 3 years, and we get to do all sorts of great things and be an ambassador for Stetson. We get to welcome people into the community. We get to give tours to incoming students, get to participate in all sorts of different activities and help the faculty and staff with any of their functions that they have going on. It's been an opportunity to really get to know other students, been an opportunity to get to know incoming students, and also form some great bonds and relationships with the faculty and staff as well.
And, you know, just sticking with you for a second, Kevin, one thing that you pointed to is that ambassadors help us a lot with, or get to know our incoming students a lot. And part of that, a huge part of that, is new student orientation, right? So in just about a month, we will be welcoming all of you onto campus through our new student orientation program on campus. And the ambassadors are a huge part of that process. They come and help us with all the logistics and meet with you and talk through what your transition might look like, give you special tips as you are moving into your classwork, tips on how to buy your books, all sorts of practical advice. And I know, Kevin, that is one of the most fulfilling experiences that you have through the ambassador program.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the opportunity to have 5 or 10 mentees that are just your students as an ambassador to really help them make that transition, because as a student coming in, it can be scary, and you hear a lot of different stories about what law school is like and what to expect, and until you actually get to Stetson and really get to know what to expect from Stetson law, you'll never really grasp how much of a community it is. So being a part of helping create that community for these incoming students, let them know what's coming, and share with them the experiences that you learned, from what certain professors are like to where to go eat, where to hang out. All of that's just a great opportunity for me. So it's an exhausting week, but it's a very fulfilling week. One of my favorites.
Thank you. Chelsea, before we get to highlighting one of the organizations that you're involved in, I see that we have a question, and it comes from Samantha Green, and she's asking, what are some of the student groups that first-year students can participate in? So do one of you want to take that?
I'll let you take that.
There's a large variety of different groups that first years can participate in, and we really encourage first years to get involved with something that they really enjoy. Some examples are the American Bar Association has a great program to get started, and that's something that you can use forever. It carries after graduation as well as just at law school. In addition, the Student Bar Association, they'll host a meeting the very beginning of school, and every 1L can run as a 1L legislative rep, which is how I actually started getting involved with the Student Bar Association. And it's a great way to introduce you to not only Stetson in general, to upperclassmen, but also to every other organization that's under the umbrella of the Student Bar Association.
And there's a great follow-up question where someone is asking whether we have any events that might help introduce the student organizations to new students. And in fact, we do. The Office of Student Life hosts a student organization fair every single fall. And during the fair, you're able to go from booth to booth. All of the student organizations that are active have a booth where they'll have officers present that will give you some information about what the student organization does, some of their upcoming events, how to get more involved, perhaps even to how to run for one of their officer positions. So that is a really great event that you will find out more information probably through the announcements system online once you come in the fall. But definitely be on the lookout for the Student Organization Fair. That's a great way to find out about student organizations. Chelsea, how about you talk a little bit more about the Student Bar Association and perhaps some of the activities that they have and sponsor, and also some of the activities that they do, like for instance budgeting process and those kind of things.
Absolutely. The Student Bar Association is comprised of many different committees within the Bar Association Executive Board. Some of them include Barrister's Ball, which is an event that gets put on every spring semester for all of the students, where you can bring a guest and just enjoy a nice evening, dinner, dancing. We also have the Student Bar Association controls all the budgets of every student organization on campus. And by that I mean every student organization puts in a proposal, and they are able to say exactly what they want for a speaker, how much they want for food, and the Student Bar Association has a budget committee that meets with every student organization and goes through the entire process with them and explains how much will be allocated. And we vote on it every meeting. There's motions that come up before the board. In addition to all of that, there's also the Go Green Committee, which works a lot with the environmental side of the law and trying to make our campus more green and more environmental friendly. Another thing that is also very important that the Student Bar Association is become very involved in is the pro bono. There is a requirement at Stetson that we complete pro bono, which is an extremely rewarding experience. And the pro bono committee, as well as the pro bono organization here at Stetson, offers opportunities and has a complete list of opportunities that are available, both legal and non-legal pro bono.
Excellent. Thank you. I think we have a question about whether either one of you found it difficult to get involved in student organizations within your first year, kind of balancing your coursework and then also getting involved in student organizations that first year.
Everything's about time management. I personally did not find it difficult. If it's something that really interests you, student orgs are almost an opportunity to get away from the scholarly side of law school. I worked full-time while I was going to school, plus going to classes 3 nights a week. So finding an opportunity to get involved and create a network in the student organizations is actually something that was great for me. My first year, the first thing I got involved with was the intramural programs that's set up through Student Life. And it helped me form a bond with my classmates in the part-time program, and also gave me an opportunity to meet people that were upperclassmen and also in the full-time program. So if you want to get involved, it's a great way to get away, and it's not very difficult, in my particular opinion, as long as you manage the time.
Kevin, I love that you mentioned intramurals. That is definitely a way that I've seen our students getting involved on campus, especially within that first semester, being able to stay committed to health and wellness and just kind of get out there and blow off some steam that they might be feeling from class. So talk a little bit about some of the intramurals that you've seen on campus and your personal experience being involved.
Intramurals is it's a variety of different sports every semester, and they are separate activities offered each semester. I know for me personally, I got involved in slow pitch softball, which is one of the larger ones, and what we did is we'd play games Wednesday nights, and it would run from about 6 o'clock until about 11 o'clock at night. And somewhere in there your team would play, and you could hang around and watch other people. It was off campus, and it was just an opportunity to get to know people. And then in the spring we offer soccer is what I got involved with then, and played soccer with some of my classmates. It was just a great opportunity to see other things. But we also have football, we also have tennis, basketball. If you think of it, they have it, and if they don't, ask the commissioner, who is a part of the SBA, and ask them to add it, and they'll look into trying to get it added, because they're just trying to find opportunities for us to get out, move, like you said, blow off some steam, and have some fun with each other.
What's really great is that intramurals are not the only way to stay active on campus. We actually have a really great gym on campus that you might have seen if you've taken a campus tour. And we have fitness classes that we offer, including yoga and usually some type of circuit training. And we have a running club, so if you're a runner, you can go out with the running club, and really it services all different levels of running. We have walkers, we have runners, we have marathoners, and so it's a lot of fun to get involved with the running club as well. Chelsea, have you been involved in any intramurals?
I have been, actually. I really enjoy softball. That kind of got me started with being more involved and that kind of thing, and really getting close to some of the people that I met, not only from my section but from other sections as well, which was really nice, because your first year you are in your section and you kind of want to meet other people, because you're not going to always be in your section, and it was really nice being involved in that.
Yeah.
And I'll also throw in there, not to be afraid of intramurals. You don't have to be great at the sport. I will tell you that my team was formed of people from my part-time class, and we wanted to get involved and get to know other people in other sections, and we literally lost every game for about 2.5 years. Last year we won our first game. It was great, but we always had fun, and it was a great opportunity. So it's not something where you have to be great. We had people, when we started off, 3 people on our team had ever played softball. And by the end, everybody had played. and somebody that was standing like a tennis racket, holding the bat like a tennis racket, was ended up scoring runs. So it's a great opportunity. Even if you're not good, nobody's judging you, and everybody's just out there to have some fun. So keep that in mind when you're looking into intramurals.
But absolutely, I can attest to that. I was not very good at softball when I first started, and I was lucky my team kept me on.
That's fantastic. I think we have a question. It looks like we have a question about the pro bono graduation requirement, and talking a little bit about how you go. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about what the requirement is and how you would go about completing that requirement.
Yes, absolutely. The requirement is there's 30 non-legal pro bono and 30 legal pro bono. And essentially what that is non-legal pro bono can pretty much be anything where you're helping another individual or a group or anything of that sort without getting paid or having any compensation for that. And what I've done to satisfy that pro bono requirement is I've gotten very involved in Habitat for Humanity and other organizations. I know people that have gotten involved with CASA, doing volunteering at marathons, any of that sort of thing. Soup kitchens is another example. It's a really nice way to give back to the community, and it's another way to kind of get away from the law school mindset all the time, and it really makes you feel good to help other people at the same time. For the legal pro bono requirement, I know a lot of people work at different attorney general's offices. The state attorney's office offers non-legal pro bono requirements, that kind of thing. So that was really nice to get involved. I actually worked at a state attorney's office and satisfied my legal pro bono within one summer, which was kind of nice to get out of the way nice and early. And I believe that I have enough pro bono hours to be a Blues Award, I believe is the name of it, correct?
Yeah, so the William F. Blues Award is awarded to any student who doubles the graduation requirement. So instead of completing 60 total hours, they complete 120 hours. And at graduation, they actually wear blue cords over their regalia and also receive a really nice certificate that indicates that they are William F. Blues Award certificate. So congratulations, Chelsea, on having that done already. That's really ambitious.
It was easy once you're doing something that you enjoy. It kind of just works out that way.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I see that some of you may be experiencing some technical difficulties. I do want to highlight that we will be posting this on Stetson Connect afterwards, so you can access it at any time. We also will have our emails later on in the show, so we'll present our emails to you. So if you have any questions or if we skimmed over something too quickly, then you can follow up with an email, and we'd be happy to answer that for you. I'd love at this time to talk a little bit about what's behind us, this gorgeous courtyard where we have our graduation ceremony in May. It's pretty incredible. Both of you have worked the graduation ceremony and seen what a magnificent experience that is. But I'm just thinking about the other events that we host on the campus. Like we just had the July 4th celebration up in the tower, and 360 degrees of fireworks and barbecue and music and games for the kids. Just a really, really cool community event. Thinking about other picnics that we've hosted. Anything that jumps out to your mind, just something fun that you have experienced out on the courtyard or around campus?
Go ahead.
Sorry. I would definitely say one of the best things that I experienced out on the courtyard was Family and Friends Day. Mm-hmm. It's hosted for the 1L students, and they can invite their family and friends to not only come to class for the day with them, but they can also enjoy a barbecue of music and just hang out and really enjoying what the campus has to offer. And your family and friends can see kind of what you go through on a daily basis and the types of things that you talk about and that you learn in your classes.
For me, the courtyard is what you said. It's graduation. That's what I was sold on when I was taking a tour on campus to come. I had somebody sitting there talking to me And we were walking up, and as we walked through the tunnel that's right behind me, they were saying, imagine those wooden doors opening, and all of a sudden, all the students walking out following bagpipers. And once I experienced it, it was just this most incredible thing. And it was like, that's what I want. I can't wait for that moment. That's one of those big things. And then, like you mentioned, the 4th of July, family and friends, we do all sorts of different picnics, barbecues, and they're just these great opportunities to get to know not only fellow classmates, but the faculty and staff are always at those. And it's a great opportunity to see your professors with their families, or see the dean with his family and get to know them more than just as a teacher.
One of my favorite memories from last year's Family and Friends Day was when the ambassadors started doing pretty much a flash mob, and Cupid's Shuffle, I think, was done.
I think
and
that's what we did last year.
Yes, that was definitely a lot of fun to watch. I see that we have a question for Kevin and Chelsea about where you are in your legal studies, which year you're in, and also whether you've gotten involved in any of the concentrations here at Stetson.
I am in what I call a 4L. So I am going into my 4th year because I was part-time student. So I am graduating in December. And if I were to try and equate it to a full-time schedule, I'd be going into almost your last semester as a full-time, maybe a little bit further ahead. And I have not gotten into any of the concentrations. I decided to keep my studies general. When you get into the concentrations, it starts to look at limiting the classes you have to take in terms of you have to get a certain amount of credits in elder law or something along those lines. And for me, one of the great parts of Stetson is there's so many classes that are just so broad that you could want to take something in health insurance or want to take something in criminal adjudication, and the flexibility to pick that is why I stayed away from it. But I know that people have done it and loved it. So if you know an area of law that you want to go into just right off the bat, and after the required 34 credits, you decide that's what I want to do for sure, it's a great opportunity to really get and build that network for that area.
I'm one of those people that did get involved with the concentration. I kind of came into Stetson knowing that I wanted to do something with advocacy, and I am a member of the advocacy concentration now, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. It opens up, I wanted to focus on advocacy classes regardless, so it wasn't kind of an extra thing that I had to do. It was kind of just, it worked with my schedule, and it worked with exactly what I wanted to do with the rest of my life kind of thing. I am a 3L. I'm going into my last year at Stetson, and I'm very sad to leave Stetson.
I see a question just came in from Samantha Green. She's moving to the Stetson's campus from Oklahoma, it looks like, and she's asking what the best spots are nearby for shopping and eating out. But that actually prompts me. I'd love to hear from the rest of you. Where are you from? Are you coming from out of state? If you could just kind of type in and let us know where you're coming from, we'd love to hear. In the meantime, I'll ask Chelsea and Kevin to weigh in about what the best spots nearby might be for shopping and dining out.
Closer to campus, we have downtown St. Petersburg, which has a lot of fantastic restaurants. There's a gorgeous park where you can just walk and hang out by the water. I believe it's in the fall or spring, I don't exactly remember when, they have different festivals down there, which one of them is Rib Fest that I remember right offhand, and they have concerts down by the park. In addition to that, every Saturday morning there's an open market in downtown St. Petersburg, which is really nice to just go and get a nice little break from studying and enjoy the outdoors, which Florida has a lot of beautiful outdoors to offer. In addition to that, a little bit closer to campus, there's also downtown Gulfport, which is really nice if you're living right around campus or right on campus. And there's nice, cute little restaurants, kind of, I guess you would say, mom and pop type places that have down there, which have amazing food.
Thanks for chiming in, everybody. It looks like we have quite a few different states represented: Connecticut, Massachusetts, Georgia, Utah, New York, with the exclamation point. I love the enthusiasm. St. Pete with a smiley face. So we definitely have a really diverse class coming in. That's fantastic. I can't wait for you all to come to campus and get to know each other. Kevin, do you have any burning places in your mind of what's really fun around campus?
For starters, go Hoosiers. I see that there. That's awesome. And I would, if you're looking for shopping, Tyrone Mall is probably the closest in terms of malls. But if you're just looking for some place to go out and about, there's a couple of places. We're actually really close to St. Pete Beach. People don't really recognize that, but we're just a couple turns away from the Gulf, and that's really nice to go down to St. Pete Beach if you want to go to the water, if you want to go to the beach and just kind of get away. I also second Gulfport and downtown St. Pete. Gulfport, if you want to go and run into people from Stetson, that's where the students go. There are a lot of restaurants and bars down there where people go and they just hang out. So those are the big places for me, but I did want to make sure that St. Pete Beach was thrown there because it is a lot of fun just to get away on a Sunday or a Saturday, take in some sand and take in some water and some sun and just step away from school books for a while.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. That was definitely, as when I was a student, that was one thing that I really enjoyed doing, was going down to the beach and taking my books, and if it was a light day in terms of my, my assignment, I could easily get it accomplished on the beach and just kind of take in some fresh air and enjoy the scenery. So that's pretty incredible. And then, having the Tampa Bay area where you have St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Tampa, there are just so many opportunities in this area, which is just, it's so enriching for our students. One of the things, I think I saw a question earlier about clinics and internships, and we have so many clinics and internships because we are located in a metropolitan area. In fact, my first position at the state attorney's office came directly from a clinic experience that I had there. And so I was employed right at graduation and moved directly from a clinic experience into employment, which was really, really beneficial for me. I think that, Chelsea, you've gotten involved in a clinic or internship already, right?
I have. I have not yet to do one through the school. I'm actually applying for one in the spring to do the state attorney's clinic. But I have, many of my friends have been involved in the clinics, and they absolutely love them. I just had a friend that came back from the Supreme Court clinic in Tallahassee, and she said through that clinic is what decided what she wants to do after graduation.
Can you talk a little bit about the application process for clinics and internships?
Yes, a little bit before the application opens, you'll receive some emails to go speak. I don't believe I know who's in charge of that, but I know that you can go speak and ask any questions. They have an information session. And once the application opens, you write a letter of interest for specific programs. We have so many to offer. So any area that you enjoy, there's probably an internship or a clinic for it. And from that, you do your resume, your statement of interest, and I believe after that, you wait and find out.
Okay. I see also we have a question about planners and whether you utilize a paper calendar or whether you utilize maybe Outlook, something more electronic. I know this is something that was really difficult for me to kind of get a grasp of when I was a law student, because I was so busy. I was so involved in so many different organizations that I really realized that I needed kind of both. I would have my paper calendar that would really give me a good summary of what was going on in a week, but then my Outlook calendar would really kind of more go into detail about where I was exactly at what hour of the day. And that was really beneficial to me. So, Kevin, can you talk a little bit about what strategies you've been using in terms of planning?
Find a friend that will be involved and help send you emails to remind you. No, most of my stuff has been through Outlook. I utilize the Stetson Outlook, which I then synced with my phone, so my phone tells me when I'm supposed to be places as well. But I've also found that with most of the activities I'm involved with, you have a standard meeting time. So I know for law review, the first Monday of every month we meet in the evening. For ambassadors, the first Monday of the month we meet in lunchtime. So a lot of the programs you can get involved with actually will be pretty straightforward. And once you get a hold of your class schedule, which honestly might be the hardest thing to figure out, is remembering what classroom you're supposed to be in at what time. But once you get that, all of the activities kind of fall into place. For me, I really thought when I got to school that having a paper calendar was going to work for me, and I found that I spent more time writing in it than I actually did following it. So then I turned into the electronic at that point.
I love it that you admitted that friendship with Kevin Lonzo requires pointing you in the right direction and telling you where to go. Yeah. I definitely want to highlight something that you said, though, that the class schedule is created in a way that allows for kind of some natural breaks, a lunch break and a dinner break. And so a lot of the programming on campus, and believe me, we do a lot of programming on campus, is done during those breaks. So you're going to find a lot of student organizations, departments on campus are going to host events either around noon or around 5 o'clock in the evening to try to get as many students to attend as possible. So that's kind of neat. Now, speaking of breaks, we're actually going to take a brief break for just a moment and we'll be back. Thanks.
My best experience at Stetson so far has been interacting with students and getting to know their passions for law.
The best part of Stetson thus far for me has been my trial advocacy class. My professor taught me skills that will last the rest of my life.
The thing I've enjoyed most about my Stetson experience was the first-year student opening statement competition. I mean, it was my first time being in the courtroom and advocating, and the best part for me was that I was able to do it in front of my parents who came down all the way from Buffalo. That opportunity opened countless number of doors after that.
The thing that I've enjoyed the most about my experience at Stetson is the professors. They have clearly excelled in their expertise outside of academia, but they deliver their experiences into the classroom so personally. They are true servant scholars.
My favorite experience has been traveling with the Stetson trial team and also training with the trial team. I feel like I have learned an enormous amount just by being a member of the Stetson trial team.
One of my favorite experiences at Stetson has been becoming a Stetson Ambassador and welcoming visitors to campus.
I've really enjoyed my pro bono experience here at Stetson. I got to work with the Salvation Army and do resume workshops for people who are re-entering the workforce.
So far at Stetson, I've really enjoyed the classroom experience as well as the different advocacy competitions.
I've really enjoyed being a member of Moot Court Board since I've been at Stetson. It's really fun to work on briefs with team members and then go compete in oral arguments.
My favorite experience here at Stetson has been the opportunity to get involved with student organizations on campus, such as Phi Alpha Delta and the Environmental Law Society.
One of my favorite things about Stetson has been the opportunity to be able to intern and clerk outside of my formal legal education.
Stetson is all about a community and the collaboration. Faculty, staff, fellow students, and alumni all work together to help you to achieve success.
I really enjoyed taking part in the appellant advocacy competition, which allowed me to gain some real-life courtroom experience.
My favorite experience at Stetson has been the Moot Court program. Practicing real-world advocacy skills, you can't really get that experience anywhere else.
Stetson is the oldest law school in Florida, and the campus is really beautiful.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that video. While we were away, we got to see that we have a question for Kevin about being a part of the part-time program and the different opportunities that are at the Gulfport and the Tampa campus. So if you want to talk a little bit about perhaps how you shared your time in your first year and through your required curriculum, and then just a little bit about your experiences on both campuses.
As a part-time student, your first semester actually spends 2 classes in Tampa and 1 in Gulfport. So you're spending 2 evenings over in Tampa, 1 in Gulfport. And that divide kind of transitions throughout your required courses. You go 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Then over the summer you'll do a couple more in Gulfport, and then your final semester you actually do a few more in Gulfport than you do in Tampa. And the different activities, as you were asking, in Tampa and Gulfport, there are things on the Tampa campus. Student Life is very good about making sure that the part-time program is included. They will host different activities over in Tampa and they're very good about making sure they know when your classes are over in Tampa so that you have the opportunity to. I know that I remember some dinner functions that were presented for us, and it was right before class for a half an hour, 45 minutes. So it gave us time to get from work to campus, and then we had the opportunity to eat and participate. And as you transition out of your required curriculum, then you're going to make your decisions of where you want your classes at, depending on what's offered on each campus. After that, I transitioned mostly to the Gulfport campus because the Tampa campus was a further drive for me, and I've had that opportunity then to be involved more during the lunchtime activities over at Gulfport, because there will not be that option over in Tampa because that's actually an active courthouse as well. So you have different opportunities at both. For the majority of your events, if you're involved in some sort of student organization, most of them will be on the Gulfport campus unless it's a particular part-time student organization, which there are quite a few of those on campus, and then at that point a lot of those work around the part-time student schedules. So when you're dealing with that breakdown, you'll have throughout your required semester times where you'll be on both and might not want to, but it works out, and then at the end of your required curriculum you get the opportunity to pick where you want to take classes.
What I love about our Tampa campus is that it's so convenient to networking events with the legal profession. So for instance, we have networking events that'll sometimes be over at the Tampa Law Center because the legal community can, they can get over there for a 5:30 or 6 o'clock mixer rather than, heading all the way over to the Gulfport campus. So we see a lot of engagement with attorneys and judges over at the Tampa Law Center. The Tampa Law Center also hosts some of our Inns of Court. We have the Bruce Jacob Inns of Court, which is a criminal appellate court, and that they actually host their meetings right there on the Tampa Law Center campus, which is pretty neat. It's also right next to the Hillsborough County Bar Association. I have the privilege of serving on the Hillsborough County Bar Association Young Lawyers Division Board of Directors. So we host many events right next door at the HCBA, and also sometimes at the Tampa Law Center. We'll do a partnership there. So it's kind of neat to have both campuses and have kind of that different experience of even the way that you engage in the legal community, with the legal community. I saw a question earlier that I love. What advice would you give? Something that you didn't know as a 1L that you wish you would have known. And one thing that I think about is kind of the professionalism standards of the legal community. I mean, really, from your very first day coming onto campus in orientation, your professional responsibility attaches, and that's a pretty powerful thing to think about. It's very different than undergrad, where you come into undergrad and you're there to of course take your courses, but also to socialize, and but really your first day of law school is your first day of the rest of your career. And so getting used to some of the standards of the standards and expectations, I'd say, of both the law school community, but also the legal community, and how some of those things change. So one thing that I'm thinking about is that Dean Zeppo is Dean Zeppo, right? We pay her respect because of her title, and we give that to her. Much like as we go into the courtroom, we'll be addressing judges as judge or your honor, and really paying that professional respect. So that's something that I really think that I wish I would have understood a little bit more coming into law school. Absolutely. What do y'all think?
I completely agree with that. One of the huge thing that I didn't really consider coming into law school during orientation is one of the first things they told us is look around. This is going to be your colleagues. They're not just your friends and your fellow students, but these are the people you're going to be working in the legal profession with, and you want to be professional with them. You want them to respect you and get in return.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to go off of that, you were talking about the fact that, you know, they want not only to respect you, but a lot of the legal work you're going to get is referrals from other attorneys. Those are the colleagues you went to law school with, or the people in their firm that they're working at. So you need to be able to keep that going. And also, I will say, you need to be able to offer that respect to your faculty and your staff and throughout the community to form those relationships. I can tell you my favorite part about Stetson is the community. You get to know the deans and your faculty, but at the same time, you ease into that relationship and form that community, and one of the best ways to do that is showing them the respect they deserve in that. And that's something you have to learn early, and it can be as much as when you're sending an email to a professor asking for an assignment or asking where something is, and knowing how to properly address them, because you have judges who are your professors, and you need to make sure I have classmates who sent something and said, "Hey, dude, you could be practicing in front of them. You don't do that." So being smart about that and learning that process.
I remember a time when I was in my first year, and I sat towards the front, and actually the person that was sitting right next to me was watching a movie in class, and the whole crew behind them was watching the movie as well. And what was so interesting is that this person thought that the professor had no idea. Well, in fact, the professor did, just never said anything about it until the very last day of class, and then the professor made a reference to students who watched movies in class. And I can guarantee that the folks that that really saw that, that's probably not going to be the first student that they colleague that they think about in terms of giving client referrals to, and et cetera, in the future. So that was just kind of a lesson learned that I had. Something else that I have been thinking about is our advocacy teams. It looks like we have a couple different questions about our advocacy teams here at the College of Law, how to get involved, what are tryouts like, and are there any advocacy opportunities for 1Ls? So Chelsea, I know you're part of the concentration program. Do you think that you might be able to talk about those things?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually a member of the Alternative Dispute Resolution Board. And I will actually be going through the tryout process the beginning of August, trying out for the trial team this year. It's the most rewarding experience being on one of these teams. You get to learn from practicing attorneys, from your professors, from judges, and you really get a lot of support. It's hard work, I'm not going to deny that. It's very challenging, but with those challenges, it becomes even more rewarding. And the tryout process is somewhat difficult. We want to make sure that we get the best on the teams that we compete nationally and we're nationally recognized for. So they make sure that every team makes sure that they're getting Stetson quality and really getting people that, along with the professionalism, that will represent Stetson properly.
Can you talk a little bit about what the ADR board does? Because I think trial team, I think most folks probably recognize that that's really trial advocacy, being in the classroom, the things that you see on the crime shows, being in the courtroom and talking to a jury and, submitting evidence and those kind of things. And then moot court is probably not also readily apparent from it, but that's more the appellate process and much more oral advocacy and also written advocacy with briefs, which Professor Bowman always says there's no nothing brief about a brief. It's usually a 30-page written document. But can you talk a little bit about the ADR board and some of the things that you do with that?
Yes, absolutely. For the ADR board, it's not just necessarily one team. We're split up into a few different areas. We have negotiation, mediation, interviewing and counseling, and arbitration. And they're all very different areas. It's a different type of advocacy. For negotiation, you're really learning on how to work with a partner and work with the people on the other side instead of going to trial. With arbitration, when we first learned about arbitration, they tell us it's a sit-down trial. It's meant to be more relaxed and really just get to resolving the problem without going to a full-on trial. It's different alternatives to that kind of process.
Okay. It's been fun, right?
It has been. It's incredibly rewarding working with all of the coaches that I've worked with, and when we travel for competitions, we get to meet. This year I went to Richmond, and we got to meet judges and attorneys from all over the country and from Washington, D.C., and it was absolutely amazing to not only meet them, but to meet the other students that are doing the same things we're doing at different law schools. You get to see that we're all going through relatively the same thing together.
It's pretty cool that that when you go to meet folks that they know who Stetson is and they know our reputation too, right?
It's absolutely amazing. It is the greatest feeling.
It's awesome. Well, we've all heard about how especially the first year is quite stressful, and that there's some transition that takes place, trying to grasp a new way of studying and really just absorbing everything that your first year provides for you. And one of the ways, one of the resources that we have here at the College of Law is counseling services through Eckerd College. And I think that Kevin wanted to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. We have lots of different ways to be able to blow off steam, from intramurals to being able to do different trial teams and the beach. But it's all stressful. So I will say that Stetson does offer an awesome program. There's a college, Eckerd, that's just about 5 minutes away from here. And they provide free counseling services if you're going through a hard time, you're stressed out about finals, and the counselors are specific to working with students from Stetson. So when you go in and you say, I'm going crazy because I have 7 finals and I am on this team and I've got a brief and all this, they understand the language, and then they help you realize you actually only have 4 finals, and try and walk you through your process. And it's just an opportunity, another opportunity that Stetson gives you to be able to help you manage the transition. It is very manageable. Not everybody takes advantage of it, but even the best of students do take advantage of it, because it's just another opportunity to make sure that you're taken care of while you're at Stetson, because that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that as a community we're all taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you highlighted that the counselors are familiar with law students, because I think that that is really important, that they understand the timeline. If it's November, then they know that you're prepping for exams and you're getting into that mentality, and so it's a really personal experience. One of the great benefits of the program as well is that it's free, that you actually can and you can arrange it on your own. You can contact them directly. You don't have to have a referral, so you don't have to come to tell me or anyone else. You can just call them directly and set up an appointment, and so long as you need it, it will be there for you, which is really, really beneficial. Another thing is that actually this past semester was the first time that we've begun offering counseling on this campus as well. So you can have your choice at this time, either to see a counselor over at Eckerd College or here on campus. So that was something we tried out in the spring, and we're going to bring it back in the fall. It's pretty neat. I see that we have a question from Samantha Green about studying abroad and travel opportunities, so especially during the summer. And I know, Kevin, you and I traveled together 2 summers ago, I think, right? Last summer, okay. And so I'd love for you to talk about that, and then perhaps if you want to just talk about some of the other opportunities that you've seen some of your friends take part in, or if you've done any of the study abroads, then you can talk about those as well.
The program I did was a civil rights class, and then we did a 2-week civil rights travel class, and it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. You have this opportunity to get to live basically for 2 weeks with a bunch of other students and faculty, learning about the same thing from people who actually experienced the civil rights movement and all of the different things they went through. We went through a process with, we had 3 people who were freedom riders actually on the bus with us the entire time, and just being able to sit next to them on a bus and talk to them about, oh, what was it like when, you met Dr. King, or, At one point I sat down at a dinner, and during the dinner we chatted with Dr. King's barber, and it was just very unique things, and just the opportunity to get to see people and meet people and hear about that, and really get to understand the facts of what happened. And that's just one of the many opportunities that Stetson provides. We have study abroad programs that can send you basically anywhere at any time. We have the fall in London, where you do a full semester in London. You have summer ones where you go to Spain and go to, I believe there's one in Australia, and all sorts of different things with that. And then there's even a Caribbean one that you can do during your Christmas break. So if you want to get a couple credits during Christmas break, you can go on a 2-week learning excursion in the Caribbean and be able to participate in that too. So Stetson's very good about their international opportunities and chances to be able to travel and learn.
If I can just add to that, I actually traveled also last summer to Granada, Spain, and it was absolutely amazing. It was beyond just the classes. You got to really be immersed in their culture and really just see a different way of life and a different way of learning, which made the experience even more enriching. And another really good thing about the study abroad program is they offer scholarships to go away to study abroad, which was really helpful. Every little bit counts, and it was really nice to receive a little bit extra when traveling abroad.
Thanks. I see we have a little bit of a conversation going on about health insurance. One additional point that I would make is that within the first 2 weeks of school, we have a session that's open to all students where we have the provider for the health insurance come onto campus and provide information about what the plan covers and what it does not. So I see that it looks like you'll be receiving an email in the next couple of weeks about health insurance, but you might want to also look out for that session that'll be during the first couple weeks of school. I know students always have questions about courses, how to sign up, once you get into the upper level curriculum and what the course registration process is like, bidding. So if you could talk a little bit about the bidding process and then any recommendations that you might have about selecting your upper level curriculum.
The bidding process is you get a time when it opens, and there's, I believe it's a week or 2 week period where you get to rank your courses. You choose the few that you want, and you rank the number one that you want, absolutely number one. And then after everyone's ranks are in, we don't know exactly how they do it, but the registrar works their magic and gets you a schedule. And after you're given that schedule, you're allowed to do add drops. You can change it throughout the semester. I believe it's up to about like a week after classes start. You can kind of change by what's open. And the best advice that I got when doing it is you think about the class that you want more than anything, that you would be so upset if you didn't get that semester, and you rank that number one. And that was the greatest recommendation I got.
The thing I would make sure to point out is one of the best things that I never knew Stetson did until I looked back, is that as a incoming student, you don't have to worry about this process up front. The classes are picked for you, and you're told where you're going to be, what classes you have to take, and that's all with the ABA standards and the bar in mind. So they're telling you where you're at for the first required curriculum. Once that's passed, it feels kind of like a free-for-all, but I will tell you that the registrar's office is amazing. They hold multiple times where they'll sit down with you and talk with you about the different classes and make sure you know that if you want to take this class, you have to have taken this class, or what different types of classes go well together, and help you work out that schedule. For me, I know that with the bidding process, you have priority based on where you're at in your year and what type of student you are and your concentration. So there's all sorts of different things that play into it, but I think Chelsea's advice about pick your favorite course and make that sure that's number one, and then kind of go from there is the best thing to do. And then particular to part-time students, pick your course that fits your schedule best. There are courses, if you are somebody that just wants to go to campus 2 days a week, you can figure out how to do that if you want to. So there are different ways to be able to plan your classes. You can go based off of the professors you like. You can go based off of how many days you want to be on campus, or particular to your concentration or what really interests you. I will say that of all the classes I've taken, you can't really go wrong with what classes you end up with. They're all good in their individual ways. So just remember to, when you're ranking, go for that one that is the best, and then kind of go from there, and make sure you have backup plans, because you might not always get where you want. And then if you get waitlisted, which is always a possibility, don't freak out. Hang out on the wait list, and always feel free to send whatever professor that is and say, hey, are you planning on opening this up, or what's going on with that? Because a lot of the professors are willing to do that as well. So keep that in mind.
You know, something that you mentioned, I'm hopeful that not many of your fellow colleagues are doing that, and that would be selecting 2 days or 3 days to be on campus. And the reason why I would recommend not doing that is because we have so much going on every single day here on the campus. It's a residential community. We have approximately 13% of our student body living in Stetson-owned housing, and so we really have programming going on in the evenings, during the day, 7 days a week. And if you confine yourself to just a few days of classes, then you're going to be missing out on the other things that are going on campus. And I just think that it would take something away from your experience. So I'm just going to give that little piece of advice and take the opportunity to do that.
That may be more of a part-time student thing if you're working with your work schedule and what days. I have a 6-month-old, so trying to figure out how many days a week I'm away from home is a little bit different for some of the part-time students. So and just because you're taking classes on certain days doesn't mean you're away from campus. I'm on campus 2 nights a week, or I was last semester, but I'm on campus 5 days a week because I come and see people or I'm doing something. So just throw that in as a part-time thought. But
so thank you to Ustreamer 955373 asking me a question. I'd love to talk a little bit about where else my legal career has taken me. So I graduated in 2006, and again worked straight at the state attorney's office doing child welfare for a couple years, and have been here since about 2008. But my legal career continues. I do a lot of pro bono work. I work with an organization locally called Wills for Heroes, and we draft wills and other end-of-life documents for first responders, so police officers, firefighters, and that has been a really fulfilling experience. I've also worked with Florida's Children First, and I've been an attorney for a student, or for a child who had a dependency matter and also a delinquency matter. And so I continue to be involved in legal pro bono primarily, and then also my legal career has let me get involved in other things in the community. I was part of Leadership Tampa this past year, which was a really incredible experience. There were about 56 of us, and there were quite a few lawyers in the group, so that was a pretty neat experience. I see that we have a question about mentors, and I think we touched on that a little bit earlier about really the greatest way to have the first mentor that you'll have on campus is our ambassadors. And then, of course, you can reach out to any of our community members. Our faculty and our staff serve as excellent mentors, but allow those relationships to really organically grow. Don't be afraid to reach out to faculty or staff. They're here for you. We have one of the most open campuses. I'm sure you've probably heard about that, the accessibility that we have with faculty and staff. So I'd say there to just let it happen organically, and I'm certain that you'll find a mentor. I see that we just have a little bit of time left together. I want to say thank you so much for coming online and being a part of tonight's discussion. My email address is tbryant at law.stetson.edu, and I can be reached with any follow-up questions that you might have. And I know Chelsea's and Kevin's have flashed across the screen a couple of times this evening, but if you're interested in getting in contact with them, please do email any of us. We'd love to remain involved with you and welcome you onto campus in a month. So thank you so much for being a part of tonight's discussion, and we will see you soon.
Thank you for watching Stetson Law Live. For more information, send us an email or give us a call. For your convenience, our contact information will remain on screen for the next few minutes. Be sure to check our homepage often for news, information, and updates. Thanks again. We look forward to hearing from you soon.